The mirror shattered without a sound. Rohan stood frozen in the center of the Haveli's corridor, staring at the cracked glass that had reflected something impossible just moments ago. His breath came shallow, uneven, fogging the cold air. The oil lamp in his hand flickered violently, as if reacting to what the mirror had shown him. He hadn't seen his own reflection. He had seen someone else standing behind him, someone who wasn't there when he turned around. The silence inside the Haveli was unnatural. No insects, no wind, not even the distant sounds of the village outside. Only the low creak of ancient wood settling under its own weight. Rohan felt the familiar pressure in his chest, the instinct to run, but his legs refused to move. The mirrors in this place were not normal. He had known that before stepping inside, but knowing didn't prepare him for what they actually did. Just minutes earlier, he had been walking down the same corridor, following a trail of dust, covered footprints that weren't his. The Haveli was abandoned decades ago, its doors sealed after an entire family vanished overnight. Locals said the mirrors inside the house showed the truth people weren't meant to see. Others claimed they showed lies so convincing that people forgot who they were. Rohan had dismissed those stories as fear-driven exaggerations, until now, as the lamp steadied, he noticed something worse. The broken mirror on the wall wasn't reflecting the corridor anymore. It was reflecting a different version of it, clean, bright, alive. Sunlight streamed through windows that were boarded up in reality. The cracked floor beneath his feet looked polished and new in the reflection, and in that reflected corridor, Rohan was walking, calm, unaware, smiling. The reflected Rohan stopped. He looked directly at the glass. Rohan's throat tightened. His reflection raised its hand slowly and pressed its palm against the inside of the mirror, as if the glass were thin skin separating two worlds. The real Rohan stepped back, heart hammering. The lamp flickered again, and when the light returned, the reflection was gone. The mirror now showed only darkness. That was when the whispers began. They didn't come from a single direction. They seeped out from the walls, the ceiling, the floor, soft voices overlapping, murmuring fragments of thoughts that weren't his. His name appeared among them, repeated in different tones, some familiar, some distorted, some sounding almost like his own voice. Rohan turned away from the shattered mirror and continued deeper into the Haveli. Every step echoed too loudly, as if the house were listening. He passed doorways leading into rooms filled with furniture draped in decaying white cloth. Mirrors hung on nearly every wall. Large, small, oval, rectangular, all covered in thick layers of dust. He avoided looking at them, but the Haveli didn't allow avoidance for long. In the main hall, a massive mirror stood opposite the entrance, its frame carved with symbols worn smooth by time. Rohan felt an inexplicable pull toward it. The whispers grew quieter the closer he got, replaced by a deep, pulsing silence. His reflection appeared slowly as he approached. At first, it looked normal. Then it blinked when Rohan hadn't. The reflection's expression shifted subtly, its eyes darkening, its smile lingering too long. Behind the reflected Rohan, the hall was crowded. Dozens of figures stood silently, their faces blurred, their bodies still. In the real hall, Rohan was alone. He backed away, but the reflection stepped forward. The mirror's surface rippled like disturbed water. The reflected hand reached out, pressing against the glass from the inside. Rohan felt a sudden pressure on his own palm, as if something cold were touching him through the air. His heart raced as memories he didn't recognize flooded his mind. Laughing in this Haveli, living here, dying here. He understood then. The mirrors didn't just reflect reality, they replaced it. Rohan tore his gaze away and ran. The Haveli's corridors twisted unnaturally, leading him past the same rooms again and again. Each mirror he passed showed a different version of him. Older, injured, smiling too wide, standing still while something unseen stood behind him. In one reflection, he saw himself hanging from the ceiling fan. In another, he watched himself walking calmly deeper into the house, carrying the same lamp, following the same path. The whispers returned, louder now, more confident. They spoke as if the house already knew how this would end. Rohan stumbled into what must have been a bedroom. The mirror above the dresser was uncovered, clean, untouched by dust. He didn't remember wiping it. In the reflection, the room was different. The walls were intact. The bed was made, and someone was sitting on it. The reflected Rohan looked exhausted, hollow-eyed, as if he had been waiting a long time. The reflected version slowly stood and walked closer to the glass. His mouth moved without sound, forming words Rohan couldn't hear, but he understood the meaning anyway. This was the version that stayed. A sudden realization hit him with crushing clarity. The Haveli didn't trap people physically. It trapped their realities. Each mirror was a doorway to a version of life that almost happened, or could have happened, or shouldn't have happened at all. The house fed on confusion. On the moment someone doubted which version was real. The reflected Rohan reached out again. This time, the glass felt thin. The room shook violently. Mirrors in the corridor outside began cracking one by one, each fracture releasing distorted reflections that flickered like dying signals. Rohan screamed silently as the pressure in his head intensified, memories splitting, some belonging to him, others not. With one final burst of strength, he smashed the mirror with the lamp. The glass exploded outward. Darkness swallowed the room. When Rohan woke up, he was lying outside the Haveli's gates, the morning sun harsh against his eyes. Villagers stood at a distance, watching him cautiously. The Haveli behind him looked unchanged, silent, abandoned, sealed. They said he had been missing for 3 days. Rohan said nothing. That night, back in his own home, he stood in front of his bathroom mirror. His reflection stared back normally. He washed his face, steadying his breath. Then the reflection smiled. Rohan didn't, and deep inside the glass, something knocked, softly, patiently, waiting for him to look again.